You're born Pietro Barbo, the nephew of a pope, which in 15th century Venice means you've already won a game most people don't even know they're playing. The canals smell like salt and rot. Your house smells like beeswax and money. Your mother tells you God has plans for you. She's right. She just doesn't specify which God, the one in the Bible or the one made of gold and silk and jewels that lives in Rome. You're 7 years old when your uncle becomes Pope Eugene IV, and just like that, the cage opens. You're 12 when you first see Rome, not the dirty Rome, not the broken aqueducts, not the beggars sleeping in the shadows of ancient columns. Your Rome, the Vatican, the corridors that smell of incense and power and old stone that has been prayed over so many times it practically hums. You decide, standing in that corridor, that you want this, not out of piety, not out of devotion, out of hunger. Not because you're cruel, not because you're corrupt, not yet, just because you are a young man from Venice who has seen what the church can give a man, and you want it all. The silk, the jewels, the weight of an office so enormous that kings kneel to it. You want to be seen. You're 23 when you become cardinal. 23, the ink barely dry on your adulthood. This is where most men spend decades grinding. You skip the grinding. Your uncle's name is a skeleton key that opens every door in Rome. You walk through them without looking back. You are, by all accounts, handsome. This matters to you more than you'll ever admit. You spend real money on your wardrobe. You commission portraits. You study how the light falls across your face in polished silver. The other cardinals notice. They say nothing to your face and everything behind your back. You don't care. You are young. You are beautiful. You are going to be pope. You're in your 30s when you stop being beautiful. It happens slowly, then all at once. It's the melons, partly, cold honeydew, cantaloupe, whatever the market has. You eat them in summer because Rome in summer is an oven and cold fruit is the only mercy God offers in July. But you eat them in winter too, and spring, and at meals, and between meals, and after Mass, and before negotiations, and sometimes, if we're being honest, instead of actually governing. The food in the Vatican is extraordinary, and you are a man of extraordinary appetites. You learn to eat the way other men pray, completely, devoutly, with your whole soul. Fun start. You're 47 when they elect you pope. It is August of 1464. Pope Pius IX has just died. The cardinals shuffle into the Sistine Precursor, the smaller chapel, and they vote. And the votes say Pietro Barbo, you. You sit with the news for a moment. Then you announce that you will be called Formosus. Formosus, Latin for handsome. You want to be Pope Handsome. The cardinals stare at you, not because you're vain. Everyone in this building is vain, because you're announcing it. There's vanity, and then there's signing your name to it. They talk you out of it. You settle on Paul II. Fine, Pope Paul II.
You accept this with the grace of a man who has already gotten everything he wanted and can afford to lose a skirmish. You put on the papal tiara. It's heavy, very heavy. You put it on anyway because some weights are worth carrying. And some weights, you will discover over the next 7 years, are not. The first thing you do as Pope is redecorate. The Vatican's apartments become yours in a way that suggests you've been planning this since that corridor at age 12. You bring in the jewels. God, the jewels. Rubies the size of thumbnails. Emeralds that catch the light like trapped seawater. A collection of cameos and intaglios that scholars will still be cataloging 2 centuries after your death. You love beautiful things. You love owning beautiful things. You love that when ambassadors come to Rome, they walk into a room that says, "Look what the church has. Look what I have. Try to imagine taking it from me." You throw open the Roman carnival. The humanists, the scholars, the men of letters who expected patronage and respect, you abolish their little office, the College of Abbreviators. Gone. What do you need scribes for? You have God and good taste. A man named Platina writes angry letters, then angrier letters. Then you throw him in jail for a while. He will remember this. This is the thing about power. It teaches you, slowly and convincingly, that you are the exception, that the rules of the physical world negotiate with you the same way foreign diplomats do, with deference, with hesitation, with a willingness to be dismissed. Your body has not gotten this message. Your body is still a body. It is tired. It is enormous. The silk robes that once hung beautifully are now architectural. It takes 2 attendants to help you to your feet in the morning. Mass becomes a performance of endurance. You sweat through everything. The incense cannot cover it. The cardinals say nothing. The cardinals are good at saying nothing. But Platina, now free, still furious, is sharpening his pen. You're 53, and it is a July evening in 1471. Rome in July. The heat sits on the city like a hand pressed flat. The air smells of baked stone and distant river, and something sweet and rotten that you've stopped trying to identify. You are in your chambers. There are melons. There are always melons. You have been doing this your whole life, filling the space that opened up when you were a boy, watching your uncle and understanding that you were close to something magnificent, but not quite in it. You filled it with ambition, then with office, then with jewels and silk and carnival and the weight of a papal crown you chose to wear even when it hurt. And then, when all of that was obtained, when there was nothing left to reach for, you filled it with food. You wonder sometimes between bites if this was always what it was, the hunger, if the church was just a very elaborate melon, not because God failed you, not because Rome disappointed you, because no matter how much you have, the appetite doesn't stop.
It just changes its address. You eat another slice. The heat is unbearable. The walls of your chamber are yellow in the candlelight. Somewhere in Rome, a cat is screaming at another cat over something territorial and urgent. You feel a pressure behind your eyes, then in your chest. Then you die on July 26th, 1471. The official cause, apoplexy, a stroke. The unofficial cause, per Platina, who is absolutely going to write about this, melons. Too many melons. A man of God brought low by summer fruit. The Vatican will contest this. The Vatican will say natural causes. A good death. A man who served God faithfully until the end. Platina will publish his history of the popes. He will be thorough. He will be devastating. He will be read for centuries. You will be remembered. Not the way you wanted, not Formosus, not the beautiful one, not the jewel collector, not the patron of carnival, not the man who walked into that corridor at 12 and decided he would have all of it. You will be remembered as the Pope who wouldn't stop eating melons. Centuries pass. Scholars argue about whether the melons actually killed you. Some say it was probably a heart attack, maybe complicated by the heat, possibly by the fruit. Some say Platina invented the whole melon element to humiliate you posthumously. Your jewels end up scattered across Europe. The Vatican sells some, loses others, stores a few in rooms that are cataloged and forgotten. The papal tiara, the heavy one, the one you wore anyway, gets refashioned twice. No one asks if it's still too heavy. Somewhere in the Vatican archives, your portrait survives. You look out from it with the specific expression of a man who knows exactly how this is going and doesn't plan to stop. You look, it must be said, a little like someone who just finished a melon and is thinking about another one. They will tell you the church teaches temperance. They will tell you that the body is a temple, that excess is sin, that a pope of all men should know the difference between appetite and devotion. What they won't tell you is how the marble is cold in winter, and Rome is indifferent, and the gap between what you wanted and what you were never quite closes no matter how much silk you wear. You are Pietro Barbo. You are Pope Paul II. You are a man who wanted to be called handsome, who collected beautiful things because beautiful things cannot disappoint you, who ate melons in July because the world kept offering them, and you kept saying yes. You were not a saint. You were not a monster. You were a man with an enormous appetite in a building full of things to want. The melons were just the last of them. The church buried you in St. Peter's. The humanists buried you in ink. Both graves are permanent. The melons, at least, were delicious.